So it's an honor to have Addepalli Kasi here with us today. Kasi is based in India and is an Associate General Manager with Vedanta in the Exploration Department. He has over 21 years of experience in mineral exploration, and I'm so excited to hear from him today about the geology of base metal deposits in the northwestern part of India. So it's going to be an awesome session. Please use the chat. You'll have the chance to jump off mute. We'll open up the floor and have some discussions at the end of the presentation. And I hope you all enjoy it. So thank you so much, Kasi. It's wonderful having you.
Thank you. Thank you. And good evening to all Australian colleagues. Good morning to my Indian colleagues and friends. I'm going to present the geology of base metal deposits in northwestern part of India, mostly blood zinc deposits, which has been actively mining here. So regarding that deposits, I'm going to discuss. As our culture, before starting our any technical share and meetings, we start with the safety. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the field. Being fascinated, I was about to pick my rock. That below, there is one scorpion. So I was looking from top to bottom, and the scorpion is looking from bottom to top. And we had chat each other, and he left, and I did my job. So what I want to convey, in the field, we always be careful with these wild animals when we are very passionate to pick the rocks. Acknowledgement, in this western part of India and entire India, this Geological Survey of India has contributed a lot to develop the geological map and exploration. There's the agency which is doing a regressive work since so many years, and Department of Mines and Geology, what people who is continuously controlling the legacy and all rules and regulations, and Mineral Exploration Corporation, who is also contributing a lot in the explorations, and the Rajasthan University, Sokade University, which is located in Udaipur. The professors have contributed a lot to establish the Western Indian geology. And the University of Rajasthan, which is located in Jaipur, and my colleagues in Hindustan Zinc and Vedanta, there are so many people who have been working and who has contributed a lot to enhance these deposits. And apart from that, my company who has encouraged me to present this one, Mr. Praveen Sharma, and my manager, Gaurav Dua, and Kuldeep Singh Solanki, along with that, my friends, Santosh, Lalit, Manish, and my team member, who is Smutishika Mohanta, is continuously supporting me to update this presentation. So thanks to all of them. This is the Indian geology. You people might have come across at several places. In India, it's I'll take presentations pen. So this is Indian cratons. The Indian cratons and Proterozoic mobile belts and Proterozoic basins are hosting the metallogeny. In India, there are this very almost 900 million years markable intensity epochs, 4 major epochs, which is contributing the mineralization. So Mesoarcheans and Neoarcheans, mostly very well. These are the things with the gold and copper and iron deposits, which are in India also in these cratons, and in the western part of India also. We have some copper gold systems which are in the Meso and Neoarcheans. The major one is blood zinc deposits in the Aravali Craton, which is paleo to Mesoproterozoic, and there are some occurrences in the western part I will discuss in the further slides. In Neoproterozoic also, there are some small deposits in India. This is the mine locations. This is Akucha, Rajpur Dariba, and Jawar, and this is the Kaya deposit. Another one is the K3. K3 is the copper producing mine, active mine, and there is another deposit which is in Deri Ambaji in southern portion of the at the border of the Rajasthan state and Gujarat. There is one VMS type deposit. If you see, this is the contact which is in the east of this contact. All these deposits are mostly SADX and MVT BH type deposits, which is active mines producing 85 to 90% of lead zinc in India, percentage of Indian requirement. So these are actually lead zinc and silver. And this area in the western side, this in the Delhi Fold Belt, mostly a VMS type deposits. So that is the difference in the east and western part. And copper deposits also, copper gold systems. One deposit is here that is called Dani Basri, and there are several prospects along this. So this is the in the eastern side is the younger sediments, which are the Neoproterozoic. We call it as locally Indians, which is not much metamorphosed. And these are the we call banded gneissic complex or Bilwada supergroup, which is in the local names we call it as Hindolis and Hindolis, Mangalwada, and Sandmata complex. So these different names, based on the, in the further slide, I will explain about the major domains of this area. And there are these, BGC is intruded by granite, which is 2.6 and 2.3. Their local names are there. These are the granites which in, and later after Mesoproterozoic, there is a major granite event, and these are the Neoproterozoic here. There is one small deposit with small occurrences in the Neoproterozoic area also, that is lead zinc. So these are the tentative layers which is mentioned around 1800 to 1500 between these lead zinc deposits, which is actually producing the mines. And there is one south of the Udaipur that is called Jamarkotra phosphate mine. And apart from that, there is one gold deposit south of Udaipur that is called Bokia. And there are so many copper gold occurrences, as I mentioned. Apart from that, in India is having a great mining and smelting history. I'll show you some of the photographs wherever these deposits are, they are located. So this, when we have dated our workers, when they have dated, this dating is coming around 2,500 years ago. The people were mining and smelting and extracting the metal, especially zinc, lead, and silver. So even copper also, there are so many copper gold workings are there in this area. Ancient mines and smelters you can see in this part also. This is the major lithotectonic domains of the Aravali Craton. This is the, which I was talking about the different names. This is the eastern side is the Vindhyans, which is a Neo-Archean. And just after that, there is a Archean, Neoproterozoic, sorry, and Archeans. So this is the contact, which is we called as the Great Boundary Fault, which is a thrust. And this is the Paleoproterozoic, which is in the western side. So between these two, there is a Archean basement. Within that, there are there's the metamorphic. This is Indolese and Sandmata is here, and this is the Mangalavada. Based on the grade of metamorphism is the difference, which is being defined as a domains. So these contacts is strike slip, which we are talking about the Polapat basins. This is the one which is Dariba, which is Rift Basin, and this is an Agucha BHD style. Why I'm talking is a BHD, I will talk in the further slides. And there is a small occurrence of lead zinc in Purubenara and Savar. There is a small deposit is here. And of course, this is also again Jajpur belt, which called a typical look as having the Rajpur Dariba. But no deposit has been reported, base metal deposit in this part. And this is another one. There is one copper small occurrence is here. This is also looks similar to Rajpur Dariba. There is a bit of a differences opinions is that it's extension of this or this. But what I want to convey here, based on the three different metamorphic grades, these domains have been defined. That's which I want to convey in this. What I mentioned earlier, ancient workings in Aravallis, these are the adits in Java area, and this is, you can see it's very not that much visible. This is the current shaft. You can imagine how big it is, open pit, which is around 2,500 years ago. And in Java, it is in Rajpur Dariba area. In the Java area, we can see here these retorts, which people were extracting this zinc metal around 2,500 years ago. This retorts looks like a eggplant, like prison gel eggplant. That's where its shape is. So I'm not a metallurgist. I cannot explain metal than this. That's what I have an idea about this. There are so many remnants in, if you go to the Java, you can see these retards which has been stacked. This is the just location of the Rajpur Dariba, which is located around 80 kilometers northeast of the Udaipur town. And this is the current mine shaft, and this is their mining support. When they have dated, they got these dates. So what I want to convey, there is a lot of history here, which is having the mining and smelting. This is the Rajpur Dariba. This is the Rajpur Dariba belt, which runs around 20 kilometers in the north-south. There are three different deposits, which is one is the Sindheshwar Kurd and the Rajpur Dariba. In between, there's the distance is around 5 kilometers. The reserve and resources, which is the last year financial year, March 31st, 2021. These are the numbers. But if you calculate since so many years, these are the producing the mines, it is around 300 and 350 million tons, which has been in these deposits. Grade is around 5 to 6%, as varies to some varies to here, some different deposits. And this is area which, this is the basement. I am going to show some of the photographs of the field photographs of the lithologies. And this is the basement, which is called locally is Anjana cyst, which is Archean basement. And this is the place where we can see the polymetric conglomerate and followed by the quartzite, which is in yellow in color. This is the quartzite. So then CBS, it is nothing but we call it as a calc biotite schist, and this is nothing but calcarenites. And followed then in the eastern side, further west, it is a graphitic mica schist. It's based on the grade of metamorphism. If you see the rock, you will not feel that is like a cyst. It looks like a pellets. And this is graphitic mica schist. And this is also in the graphitic mica schist. And in between, there is a basement rock which has been mapped. Actually, we have taken so many traverses, we have not seen any outcrops. But when I had interacted with the Geological Survey of India people, so what they were talking about it, they got the andalusite within the pellets and some marble, dolomitic marble, recrystallized marble. So that indicates me it's a maybe intrusive granite. And in the deposit, when we are mapping and when we have done some work, we come across a lot of potash alteration. That is also indicating me it is a intrusive granite. In the differences between this graphitic mica schist and this graphitic mica schist, this graphitic mica schist, which is having the intercalations with the samite, which we can see very clearly, and this graphitic mica schist is intercalations with the calc silicates. So there is a big difference between these two graphitic mica schists. And this is the quartz mica schist, which quartzite, which is younger part of the basin, which we can see the remnants of the bridges there. Geomorphologically, it is not that highly terrain. It's a flat terrain. At places you can see the bit elevated hills. And why I'm mentioning is that this is when you see the deformation, this is the second generation of axial plane and overpinned by the another axial plane. So what it indicates, there is a culminations and depressions here and this area, Bamania Kalan and Rajput Dariba area. We can see the wall workings, whereas in the Sindhya Shakud, we have not any wall working is not there. The deposits start from just 100 meters below from the surface. So Geological Survey of India, when they understand, when they have drilled, they have identified this deposit. From Hindustan Zinc, I can take with Mr. Narendra Kavadia, who has put a lot of effort to enhance this deposit, which reserve and resource he has been contributed a lot to develop this deposit. So this is in the depression area. So culmination depression when we walk along the strike of this deposit, and there are structurally very complex. And we see here, I know Brett is going to ask. We have spent with the time with Brett in this deposit with all the deposits, and he is the one person who has explained us the several deformation histories and all. So in this area, you see the belt thickness from here to here. The belt thickness is going to be double. So it's here is very thick, whereas is very thin. So the fold pattern is also different from here to here. That is here we can see that I'm going to show some of the slides where this fold pattern is also a change. So that is and apart from that, there is a brittle ductile shear, which is overprinting across to the belt. We can come across at several locations. There are fault planes, but this is very demarkedly we can see, as well as in the air magnetic, as in the field also, we can see the brittle ductile fault planes here. And there is a different version of the geological map, which we can see in the bottom also. There is a shear zone. It looks like a sigmoidal. That's where it looks like. So this is the general structural part. And metamorphic minerals, when you see here, we have, you can see the kyanite. I'll show the photograph. Kyanite, storlite, and garnet. Two types of garnets also we come across. So this is the typical reducing environment, which is similar to, which is a SADX type of deposit when we have seen the lattice. So this is the generalized geology. Each deposit can we talk about more than a couple of hours, but I'm trying to summarize within the time bound. So I hope you people can understand these deposits have long history to talk about it. And next, this is the Anjana schist, which is the you can see in the pink color, which I was talking about. This is quartz, biotite, chlorite, garnet schist. It's very clearly understand. And this is the followed by this is the conglomerate, which is the polymetric conglomerate. We can see the material, the ground matrix is siliceous, and followed by the quartzite. And you can see very clearly when we walk from west to east, is this grading very clearly seen, and followed by in the blue color, which I was talking about, the calc biotite schist. We can see very clear bands of the dolomitic bands. So with another diagnostic feature is when you take a traverse across the belt from the basement to the basin, you can see extensively quartz veins. That is one of the field indication for us when we are taking the traverses in the eastern side and the western side of the contact. You can see very clear quartz veins. This is the calc biotite cyst which I was talking about. You see, there is a pink color bands, which dolomites, which is very commonly seen in the calc biotite cyst. When we have done the chemistry, there is elevated manganese. I have not done any work on it to whether it is a bastemite or not, but it appears to be a manganese halo. When I was being with some of the Australian geologists, they were talking about with a similar kind of thing can be seen in the some of your rift lead zinc deposit lift basins. So this is the calc biotite cyst which look in the graphic mica cyst. As earlier I was mentioning, this is the, you can see the thin laminations and the sulfides along with that. In this, there are so many people who have been published papers also. You can see syngenetic pyrite within this. The another diagnostic feature which you come across when you go from the Dariba to ISK in the north-south direction, in the Dariba area, we can see a lot of more rich pyrite, whereas in the SK, Sindheshwar mine, we see the lot of pyrrhotite. I am not sure whether it is due to the sulfur faucasite or not. We have not done much work on that, but that is physically which we have observed. So we can see the syngenetic mineralization in this graphic mica cyst. There are variation in the belt within the locally, but I have not put all the photographs. Just I am displaying only the photographs which can be easily can be explained. So you can see a thin laminations with pyrite and sphalerite also. I will show the following slide that photographs. This is another one which is called the calc cyst. It's my opinion. It is a calculate intercalation with the dolomite, which is during the deformation, which is the disattached and leucobuddings, but different opinions are there. Some people talk about the Tal's brexia. It's tough for me to identify in the amphibole grade of metamorphism in such a high intensity of the structural events to identify the slump structures and other sedimentary structures. But my observations, it is a calc cyst is a intercalation of the dolomite with intercalation of dolomite beds, which is during the deformation, which has been disattached. That's what my opinion. And this is the carbonate, which is the wasting the mineralization. It's a clean carbonate. I'll show the massive sphalerite rich carbonate wasted mineralization photographs. And this graphic mica cyst and this carbonate is wasting the mineralization. This is the quartzite, quartz QMS quartzite, which is intercalation, which is the youngest of the base. These are the major litho units in Rajpur Dariba belt. This is the deformation. This hole is a NQ hole, which is vertically drilled. You can see the tight isoplanar fold, which is warped by the F3 event. So, and even if you see here also in the calc cyst, we come across several warprinting fold patterns. And this is the kyanite, which is when we are logging, we come across at several locations. A kyanite is parallel to the foliation and even randomly oriented. So which indication it is progressing from the one deformation. It is very tough to us to separate them. So you can see very clearly progressive deformation. And this is the crenulation, which is the S2, and suddenly there is a shear zone. You can see the metamorphic mineral growing in. This is it's a garnet. So this is again a shear control, a lead zinc mineralization, which we can see in the SK and Dariba. This is the massive. This is from the Sindheshwar mine. You can see the massive galena and sphalerite, which is having the clast of, you can see rounded to sub-rounded quartz and carbonate clast, which has been observed in both the areas. And this is the it's a shear control mineralization, which my understanding. You can see some of the clast of quartz. It's maybe a chart. It is indicating me again a SADX deposit, which is having the high siliceous hydrothermal fluids. So this is another type of mineralization, which is the banded sphalerite. We can see very clearly a thin laminations within the graphic mica cyst. And this you can see the pyrrhotite rich bands with a low grade of lead zinc, and which is having the tight recumbent fold, having the axial plane is been rotated. So what I want to convey is that this recumbent fold is our understanding is due to and overpinned by the subvertical shear zones, which has been rotated. And this is the another deposit which is in the same belt, which is Rajpur Dariba area. You can see the mineralization of the sphalerite, and you can see the banded mineralization, which is very clearly thin laminations, sphalerite and S0, S1, because the Rajpur Dariba is overturned fold. So both the limbs are dipping in the one direction. So you can see very clear crenulation. S0, S1 and S2 are got folded. This is the shear control pyrite in the Rajpur Dariba area, which is in the eastern side. So this is another one is a chat brexia, which is having the on the surface, it looks like this. It's a gossainous material, deeply oxidated to gossainous material, having the chet clast. So this is what our understanding is. This hydrothermal fluids definitely must have the high siliceous hydrothermal fluids. And you can see during the deformation, there's so much of pyrite, and there are some sulfur salts have been overprinting the deformation of fabric. So there is these multiple events which has been enriched the mineralization. That's what our understanding whenever we do the core logging and mapping. This is another deposit, which is the northeast located Rampura is around 150 to 60 kilometer northeast of Udaipur. This is one of the audit in the world working, which is photographed by our earlier workers in Rampura area. So it's the long history this deposit is also having. So this is the Rampura. This is the reserve and resources. This deposit is actually Department of Mines and Geology, the geologist Rampuria, when he been to there to examine the illegal mining of the garnet, and he come across the Grosan, then now it become a history. So this is the reserve and resources in the last financial year. This is the giant deposit, very high grade, which is plus 150 million tons, which is a very big deposit. I will show the open pit photograph. The rock types here, GBHG, which we call garnet, biotite, sylvanite gneiss, quartzite, and amphibolites, and calcite. These are the major litho packages, which is hosting the mineralization by the graphitic mica schist, which has been defined. This is the ore body here. This is similar with the Broken Hill. That's what I would like to explain why I'm talking about. This is the Broken Hill type. When I had been to the Australia, I was there in Broken Hill area. So it was when I see the lithologies, it was similar. There is no change for me. It is both of them are looking same. So that indicates me that one is the lithology packages, that sediments is having the high iron and aluminum, our Rampura sediments. And when I see the igneous mafic rocks, which is having high iron content, as well as the titanium and garnetite rocks, which we come across. We have not done any RE chemistry yet. So garnetite rocks we come across. There is a southeast of this area. There is a Comor where we can see the banded formation, and sillimanite, which I'm going to discuss in the later slide. Gahanite has been reported, which is not extensively seen, but our earlier workers have been reported the gahanite. And apart from that, there is a high grade, and the chemistry, when you see at places people have been reported chlorine bromine apatites. So there is a phosphate in that, and there are sulfur isotope and lead isotopes. When we have seen, when I've been to the Australia, we brought one of the sample from Broken Hill. Of course, Broken Hill is showing the mantle fluids more in the crustal. So, but Rampura is not that exactly like that, but there is some similarities. When people have been submitted, published the sulfur isotope, it is having the cluster is very tiny. So an average of 10. So that is indicating a single sulfur isotope hydrothermal source. So these are kind of similarities which I have. Of course, it may not exactly the Broken Hill the comparable, but there are several comparable compared with the Broken Hill with Rampura. That's what my personal observation when I have been to the field and what our mapping and logging have done. Again, I would like to thanks to Brett Davis, who has taught me teach me the structural domains in this. When I come next slides, I'll definitely discuss about it. And when we have done geothermal barometry of the country rocks as well as the sphalerite, we have seen high grade. The sphalerite is also has suffered high temperature and pressure, which is from the kainite to retrograde to the high pressure and low temperature as sillimanite. So that indicates the litho packages, country rocks, as well as the ore body is showing a similar kind of the geothermal barometry. So it appears we interpret that it is a syngentical ore body during the deformation, which is undergone the high grade temperature and pressure. So it is not been transported on somewhere else. It is typically a syngenetic ore. But when we see I will show the photographs. We never come across any kind of clear kind of syngenetic ore and all. It is a high grade with we can see some different local the lithological clast on it like that. This is the open pit. We are looking towards to the south. It is a hang wall. and this is the footwall. There is a retrograde shear. I will discuss about this one also. You see the packages. This is the dark bands, which is the amphibolites. These are the toiletic basalts, and the GBSG, granite, biotite, sillimanite gneiss, in the pessamite, means quartzite here. Whereas coming to the footwall side, we don't see much amphibolites. There are thin bands. Let's compare with the hang wall. This area, the amphibolites are thin. There are there, but not the extensive. And the samites, not much. There are, but not much. It's a very some of the holes. One hole, it's very clearly there are very thin laminations also we can see. So it is very cool environment. This is the ore body. So the present hang wall, stratigraphically footwall. So it is overturned fold. When we see the deformations, it's a tight isoclinal folds at places we can come across. Overprint by Z, you can see the warp. The person who is mapping Anand is a very good structural geologist. So there is, you can see the recumbent warps, tight isoclinal folds overprint by the recumbent warps. Whereas in the footwall, we don't see that. Just parallel, subparallel to the ore body, asymmetrical folds some places. So the lithology is here, northeast southwest direction, and when they're coming to the ore body, there are subparallel to the ore body. So the ore body is suffered, is controlling D2 shear. But when we have mapped, we understand. Which I was talking about the sillimanite. It's a kind of it is an alteration. When we have checked it, it is having the similarities with the Broken Hill. The people are talking about the nodular sillimanite. It is having similar of like that. And there is a garnet, which we can see the garnet, which may be the pre or intratectonic garnet. We can see, I'm sorry for that, the photography is not that clear, but we can see the garnet is having the acclivates and shear fabric is like this. So it is the developed pre or intratectonic garnet. That's what it is. And the retrograde shear, here we can see a lot of chloride developed in this place. So that is what I understand. The biotite and chloride is a combination. It's a retrograde. These are the rock types. You see, this is the hang wall GBSG, garnet, biotite, sillimanite gneiss, and this is the footwall GBSG. You can see a very strong foliated fabric. This is the difference when we see in the footwall and the hang wall. There are so many differences when we are logging. We come across. This is an amphibolite. It's again thalite, high Mg, and iron and titanium. You can see the lot of garnet. Another, this is the amphibolite. At several locations, when we are logging, we come across the amphibolites at the contact. We can see the couple of centimeter a rich biotite layer. So is granulate space of metamorphism is tough to say, but I was thinking, does it a backed zone? I'm not sure about it, but that's what I was understanding about. I'm understanding about this. This one is the quartzite, samite, very clean. We can see very fine grained garnets, and this is the calcilicate, which we can see very clear bandings. So these are the major rock types in the Rampura Bucha area, which we come across. This is the pseudo-tacholite. The D2 is the ductile shear, which is overprint by the brittle ductile shear. You can see even ore body is also suffered, and there are so many parallel bands which we can see the brittle ductile shear subparallel to the ore body. So this is the way in different locations we have seen. This is the massive sphalerite. This is the wet. When we put a water, it looks like this. This is having the high iron and manganese. It is comparable with other deposits because of the grade of metamorphism. Mostly this sphalerite and galena, and these three of them are more or less same, but it is having the cluster of the different litho packages. This is another one is the galena ore, which having the quartz clast in it. There are different opinions about the galena ore, but my opinion, it is driving from somewhere else. This is having the, when you see the granulate phase myelinite clast, it contains in it. So that indicates me that it is opposed to the granulate base of metamorphism. I too understood well, but this is not having a similarities with, that is my personal observation. Different people have different opinions. This is having the sphalerite graphitic shear ore, which looks like this. You can see, we can feel it a graphite in when you touch this samples. So these are the different type of ore which we come across. Of course, there are certain places we come across patchy pyrite and pyrrhotite. I did not put those photographs, but this is the major ore types which in the Rampura Bucha. This is the another location which is just south of the south of the Udaipur, which is around 50 kilometers. It's called Jawar group of mines. These are the pictorial picture with the ancient metallurgical people, how they are working on in this area. This is the pictorial. People done some research and they have come up on this kind of a pictorial map. So the Java area, this is the basement, and these are the different cycles of sedimentary rocks, which is a gravaque and carbonate phyllites. I'll show you some of the photographs. The mineralization hosted in the carbonates. These are the 4 different mines. All the areas, the mineralization hosted by the carbonates. Reserve and resources has been estimated. This is the last year figure as usual, what I was mentioning. This is also producing since so many years. I don't know how much of this deposit has been produced, but this is the phyletic area. This is stratigraphically, this is basement, and this we call it as a Bavamagra sequence and Jawar phyllites. And next west of this area, there is a big lineament which people call Rakabdeva lineament, which runs more than 100 kilometers. It's Aravalli fold belt. Based on the literature, it indicates that this lineament is F2 due to for axial plane. The lineament is unplaced. Along the lineament, we can see the lot of mafic and ultramafics. So the mineralization is control is also D2. That's what our understanding. We can see from here, the people have been interpreted. It's a really complex deposit. People have been interpreted. This is having the this kind of a fold pattern. It's very clear hook shape for fold can be seen. In this area is having different hook shape of fold. And when you see you can see here, you can see a very clear SC fabric. I'll show the photographs in further slides. So the mineralization is controlling the SC fabric we have seen here as well as here. So here also we can see that SC fabric. It is why I'm talking about the Irish type. This deposit, people are having different opinions, but my clear observations, whatever I made it is Irish type. Why I'm mentioning is there are geochemistry. When you see the word geochemistry, MVT do not have much. They don't produce much silver, but it is having a lot of silver. And there are other elements, whatever I have seen. And along that the fault plains. And of course, when I talk about Irish, must be having the people have been reported must have some kind of a felsic volcanic in the belt. We have not come across, but it has more similarities with the Irish or MVT. But I am going towards to the Irish because of the silver content. So this is the geology of this belt. These are the rock types: gravaque, phyllite, and phyletic dolomite. This is the term which has been earlier people have been given. I'm really not understood what exactly it is. It is having the intercalations of the phyletic and some carbonaceous dolomitic stuff. So, and this is the again is a samite, and this is the Jawar area phyllite. So these are the major rock types which we can see in the Jawar area. And this is the siliceous dolomite, which is fracture filled sphalerite, which we can see in this. And this is the disseminated sometimes sphalerite. You can see this is the carcochic dolomite. Actually, arcochic dolomite again. When you see this rock, you can see the what you can say that the ground mass is the carbonates, but it contains quartz and feldspar, pink color feldspar. So during the rifting, that basement rock get it weathered and settled. That's the concept which I had. I'm not sure actually. I'm trying to understand actually about this rock especially. And this is the sphalerite, which is in the fracture field, sometimes the massive sphalerite, and sometimes you get the disseminated sphalerite in the carbonate rock. So these are the different ore types which we come across in the Jawar area. This is the pyrite. I spent my time to understand this. The pyrite for me, it is a shear control pyrite, which is this is the place where we can see the banded pyrite. My understanding, it is not a syngenetic pyrite, because you people can see very clearly the pyrite is shear controlled. So that's what my observation when I have logged the core. And it's not, some people have mentioned that there is a syngenetic in the carbonates also, but I'm not sure about it. You see the deformation, the outcrops are showing oxidation of base metals. This is what I'm talking about, the SC fabric. This oxidation sulfates on the surface, you can see very clearly it is in the S fabric. So this ore body, I can say that progressively there is a foliation, a continuously progressive deformation is taking place. So the ore body is being controlled by this SC fabric. In the Balaria and Mochia, these lenses are plunging towards the western side. So it is very clearly on surface, we can see these features. Next one is Kayad, which is in the northern part of the Rajasthan. Is a small deposit. This is quartz mica schist, quartz, garnet, biotite, silmanite schist it is. I will show the photographs, and the carbon calcilicate and the quartzite, and this is the granite which is intruded into the system. The ore body is in the calcilicate, is the contact between the calcitate and QMS, and again in the calcilicate also. This is also undergone the multi-phase high grade of metamorphism, very complex deposit, and this is the quartz, garnet, biotite, silmanite gneiss, which is very strongly shown the myelinatic fabric. There are two different ones, but it is the one which just before getting to the ore body, we come across this, and the QMS quartz mica schist is again same, but there is you can see the asymmetrical folds in it. Sometimes even ore body is also gartered folded. This is the two different type of the calcilicate, and some calcilicate looks like a quartzites, and this is we also having the diopside, and sometimes we get the gastrolite garnets also in this. So these are the major rock types in the Kayad deposit. This is the massive ore from the Kayad. If you see, there are classed. It's a high grade of ore which contains QMS. That QMS is having the granulations. The understanding of us is it is must be having resetted, maybe syngenetic, maybe, but it is reset during the deformation. So other than that, I do not have any idea to explain about this, but this is the way the Kayad ore looks like. You can see the granulations, you can see the sphalerite, which is got folded along with the QMS. Asymmetrical folds can be seen in this. So this is the tectonical model, which has been published by different authors. The Archean basement, which is having the copper gold systems, and then followed by the Bukia during the rifting has been taken place, and then followed by this pull-apart basins, which I was talking about that. These all pull-apart basins and the Jawar and Jamarkotra, these are the model published, and afterwards during the Delhi event, this Aravalli fold belt is getting metamorphosed. During that time, there are younger ledging deposits have been developed. When it comes to the Rampura Bucha, it is been published that it's a bridge granite introduced into the basement, and that basement actually continuously extensional regime. The seawater is given the opportunity to circulate the deep seawater hydrothermal solutions and settle the ore body. And during this 1.5 event, that time this metamorphism has taken place. That's the place where high grade of metamorphism, where the Delhi fold belt was under developing. So this is what the tectonic model is being published. Thank you very much. This much I can explain about it. This is from the Kayad. This is the photographs which I received so many messages. This is a recommend fold, D2 fold. That's what I can explain. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kasi.